Yo, buddy, DXUN here, and we'll be talking about the Ashbringer. That's right, Ret Paladin class. Again, this is for a level 102, so the numbers I give for damage are respect that actual level. So the first thing you get is Wake of Ashes. Lashes out with Ashbringer, dealing 56k radiant damage to all enemies within 12 yards in front of you and reducing movement speed by 50% for 6 seconds. Demon and undead enemies are stunned for 6 seconds if struck by the Wake of Ashes. So again, really good talent, especially against demons. But again, really good damage as well. Then we go to our first talent, which is pretty easy. Blade of Light, don't have a choice. Increases the damage dealt by Crusader Strike by 15%. Then after that, I am going with this one here. We're picking up Deliver the Justice. 3 ranks, increases damage dealt by the Blade of Justice by 24%. Total 3 ranks, so that's really good. And you can, if you can get the actual runes on top of that matches that. Ooh boy, that'd be nice. After that, I'm going this route, and I'm picking up Righteous Blade. Increases the damage dealt by Divine Storm by 5%. 3 ranks, 15%. Not a bad talent to have, especially in the build that I'm using, because I don't have a ton of AoE. I mostly have Divine Storm, and that's about it. So again, kind of want to have that. Plus, actually I forgot, plus Wake of Ashes. But I don't feel like I need it anyway, but again, just in case. Just in case. Next thing is this way, and it's Unbreakable Will. When unable to act in combat for more than 2 seconds, Ashbringer will break you free. Can only occur once every 2 minutes. Really good for PvP, I'm assuming. If it does work, it should. It doesn't state any other way. So, but if you're a PvPer, you should be able to press your buttons in time to get out of that. Which is good, actually. In some ways, if you don't want to use that proc, you can actually override it by using a trinket. Next one is Protector of the Ashen Blade. Reduces the cooldown of Vendor Protection by 10%. Again, those sounds are not the greatest, but the big one is this one right here, which is Ashes to Ashes. Wake of Ashes also generates 5 holy power and causes all enemy hits with to burn for 78k radiant damage over 6 seconds. So you're hitting really hard with an AoE, and on top of that, you generate 5 holy power. That's just a really good talent to have. So again, that's why I'm going this route first. Then after that, you can go the other way. And the really big ones are this one here, High Lord Judgment. Increases your judgment damage dealt by 15%. And also, I guess this one increases the critical strike chance of your Crusader Strike by 6%. And there's 3 ranks. Now let's show you the other ones. Might of the Templar increases the damage dealt by Templar's Verdict. That's also another big one, actually. Before I do that, I would go this route. Sorry. Pick that up first. So again, recap this way. Pick up Delivers the Justice. Then after that, all the way around here to get Ashes to Ashes. Then we keep going one more to get Might of the Templar. So technically, really at this point, you can either go here, which is not the greatest, then this is not that great, this is not that bad, and then this here, which you shouldn't need at that point anyway. So yeah, like if you get just the part that I draw right here, you're good to go. And then what I would probably do next is this way, and then after that you have the bigger decisions to make. But this one is increasing damage dealt by Divine Storm, and then this one is mimics Templar's Verdict and Divine Storm, dealing 15% of normal damage. It doesn't hit all that much. Again, they actually specified the tooltip this time around, because it wasn't before, and people thought it was like just a double, and it was like, nope, it's not quite that. It's nowhere near that, actually. But yeah. So that's what I would do. Again, pick up your first talent here, and then pick up Deliver the Justice, this way to Ashes, down to Might of the Templar, and then across this way. After that, you can have a little bit of a I guess if I had to pick between those two, I would probably pick this one here, Divine Tempest. But again, it's a toss-up, to be honest with you, at this point. As long as you get this, you should have no problem leveling, especially Deliver to Justice. Now let's go to our talents. Dun, dun, dun. There we go. And now this is what I've picked. Again, I had a lot of problems with this class for whatever reason until very recently when somebody actually taught me something I had no idea about, and it made a world of difference. And it's the blessings. Yes, your good old blessing of kings, might, all that stuff. You can actually use all three at the same time, and they are not the same as they used to be. So, and if you don't use them, you will really hate your life. So again, really make sure you remember that, okay? 3 buffs, and I can actually they all last for an hour, and then they run out, and once they run out, you have to reapply them, because if you don't, you're gonna start sucking again. And again, it's just crazy how 3 buffs will completely change the leveling experience, and that's what happened with me anyway. So here, the first row, you have Final Verdict, you have Execution Sentence, and you have Consecration. So you have the choice between an AoE, a single target that actually ticks over a period of time, or you can then go with Final Verdict, which buffs something you already have. I found there's a lot of choices that you have to make with this class, and I wanted to make things simpler, so I went with Final Verdict and then buffed it 20%, and also Divine Storm at the same time. Then the next one, I went with Zeal. Strikes the target for 42k damage, maximum 2 charges, grants Zeal, causing attacks to chain to an additional nearby target per stack, maximum 3 stacks. Really wanted to help out a little bit the damage there. Again, if you go with the Fires of Justice, reduces the cooldown of Crusader Strike by 1 second and gives it a 25% chance to reduce the cost of your next damaging or healing power ability by 1. I didn't feel that was a big deal for me. And then your Judgment cooldown is reduced by 2 seconds and jumps to 3 additional nearby enemies, which is interesting as well. But again, I just went with Zeal for that one, just overall. Here, Fist of Justice, as always, the nice little stun, right? So the damage dealing abilities that spend holy power reduces the remaining cooldown of Hammer of Justice by 8 seconds. Repentance, and then you also have Blinding Light, which just seems like the unwanted child in this one. Here, Virtue's Blade of Justice, critical strike now deals 3 times the normal damage, and then like you saw in the weapon, I buffed it by 24% overall. Now if you start critting, you can only imagine how hard that will be. So here you have Blade of Rat, which I don't understand why they would do that. Sure, there's a little bit less of a timer as far as compared to the other Blade of Justice. Blade of Justice is 11-second cooldown, and this is 7. But again, I just rather hit harder than hit less and more often. So I guess it's a choice preference. And then Divine Hammer, which tosses these hammers that hurl that are just circling around you. Divine Hammer spin around you, again damaging enemies within 8 yards for 7.7 holy damage instantly, and every 1.8 seconds for 7.3 seconds. And then here we have Justicar's Vengeance, a weapon strike that deals 69k holy damage and restores health equal to the damage done. So that's basically what I use to regain my health. If you use all 3 buffs, that's all you really need to regain your health. If you don't use your buffs, and you're gonna, if you forget or whatever, you're gonna realize that this doesn't do it, and then that's why I'm saying you're gonna hate life. You're gonna finish attacking a couple of mobs and be like below half health and almost dead, and then you're gonna basically heal yourself with Flash of Light, and it's gonna get you to about half health because it just does not. It's not meant to be used in that capacity. But again, if you use it properly, you use all your buffs and all that, Justicar's Vengeance can do the job well for you. Again, you need 5 combo points, or whatever you want to call them, 5 holy power, and then use that ability. So don't forget that. Don't just go balls to the walls with Final Templar's Verdict, and then basically forget to get to 5 and use Justicar's Vengeance. Then you have Eye for an Eye, reduces the physical damage you take by 35% and instantly counterattacks any enemy that strikes you in melee combat for 22 physical, 22k physical damage for the last 10 seconds. And Word of Glory, which I find now is completely utterly useless. But again, if you want to heal other targets other than yourself, then I guess maybe it may be situational in some raids, but for leveling, completely useless. And then you have a minute cooldown to recharge, just doesn't heal very well, and on top of that it has a cooldown. It just all kinds of bad compared to just the Goddard's Vengeance. Here you have a little bit of some neat choices. Here you have Divine Intervention, which reduces the Divine Shield cooldown by 50%, and it's a 5-minute cooldown, so it's actually pretty darn good to have if you're gonna use what we call Equality over here. That's mostly for PvP. So again, reduces the cooldown by 50%. In addition, any attacks which would kill you instead reduces you to 20% of your maximum health and triggers Divine Shield. Cannot occur while Divine Shield is on cooldown or Forbearance is active, which makes sense. Divine Steed is what I picked, again, because I just like to have that little burst of speed. I was missing that from I was using something else in WoD, and I needed that in here as well. So, but this one is a little different. You when you actually use it, it puts you right up on a mount for 3 seconds. Doesn't matter if you're inside or anything like that. It just does it, and I just really like that. Again, increases movement speed by 100% for 3 seconds. Usable while indoors or in combat. So it can also be good to run away from shit. And the last one is Seal of Light. Draws upon the holy energy to increase your movement speed by 20% for 20 seconds per holy power spent. So basically you use holy power, which I would never use to do that. But again, it's a little longer, but it's quite a bit slower as well. So I guess you have a choice. To me, the choices are between those two. Here, Divine Purpose. Your holy power consuming abilities have a 20% chance to make your next holy power consuming ability free. 20% is just not good enough for my taste. Here I went with Sanctified Rat. Increases your damage and haste by 5% for 20 seconds. Each holy power spent during Sanctified Rat increases damage and haste by an additional 5%. And it's a 2-minute cooldown. And you have Equality, which is that's the one that's fairly interesting, which is a 3-minute cooldown. Deals holy damage to up to 4 enemies within 10 yards, equal to 150% of the missing health. Deals 50% of the missing health against enemy players. Obviously, they changed it a little bit so that for enemy players, you're actually not crushing them too hard. But for mobs, this Equality with Divine Intervention is really nice because you start using it when you're low health, and then if you die, this actually keeps you alive, and then that spell will basically obliterate everything around you. So it's not that bad. It's a really good combo here as well. Probably better than this, to be honest. Again, so something to look at. But again, if I was picking this, I would definitely have a Divine Intervention to make sure I wasn't dying from it. And also, again, I like the speed buff. So again, there's a decision to make here, and again, these two sound very promising for PvP. I know a lot of people are crying that it's too OP and everything, but I think it's time for the Paladin to go back on top, because you know what? Last season in WoD, it wasn't the best one for Palis that I saw. I didn't see one at the World Championships in WoW whatsoever. So again, time for some good melee classes to get up there, you know. Just gotta do a rotation. It doesn't have to be always the same class that dominate, like mages and warlocks and fucking, you know, and druids. It can be other classes. Right? Again, thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. And again, don't forget your buffs. Later.